This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Apple just sort of fixed the two things holding the iPhone Pro Max back compared to its astute Android competition. Finally, we thought, the iPhone has caught up, but is it too little too late given what Google just delivered with its Pixel 10 Pro XL? Don't let this zany, vibrant new colour distract you from the fact that the new iPhone isn't exactly a groundbreaking change, but let's talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and the iPhone 17 Pro Max certainly has a few new things going for it. It's the first new iPhone to ship with the new look iOS 26 software redesign. The hardware has also had a fresh coat of paint. There are new cameras, there's a new processor, and a brighter screen, all in the same eye-watering, pocket-filling $11.99 US phablet package that we've come to expect from Apple over the past couple of years. One of the most convenient and handy inventions of the last few years is certainly a VPN, and that's where this video's sponsor NordVPN comes in. Not only does this service help you browse anonymously, tunneling your network traffic through another region which helps secure your connection, but it's also just really handy for watching programs, movies and sports that you just wouldn't get in your home version of Netflix, for example. Or if, like me, you're a die-hard Premier League fanatic and you go on holiday, being able to log into your streaming services just as you normally would without a fuss is brilliant, and NordVPN allows you to do that. It works on Mac, Windows, iOS and our beloved Android. It's easy to install and get set up. If you go to nordvpn.com/androidpolice, you'll get up to 77% off a 2-year plan and 4 months extra for free. So check that link out in the video description, and a big thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring today's content. So let's first talk about what's great about the new iPhone this year. For me, the brighter screen just has to be seen to be appreciated. I still don't know if Apple screens are my favourite out there. I don't think they tune them quite as nicely as Samsung Mobile does its. But that could be just nitpicking, because this 6.9-inch 1-to-120Hz variable refresh rate OLED is one of the best bits about a big iPhone. It's rated at a 50% higher peak brightness, and whilst you might not feel a crazy bump in real world usage, it does look brighter to my eye, particularly in bright environments, and in HDR if you're the kind of person to watch that kind of content on your phone. In fact, if you're in any way a fan of consuming multimedia content on your mobile, this is one of the very best ways to do it, as long as you don't mind that larger than normal cutout at the top for Face ID, which is always nice to have when moving to an iPhone from Android, though I am of the opinion that a fingerprint scanner would have been a great addition. Hey, maybe you could use that camera control slider thing and it could double as a capacitive reader, because for controlling the camera, it's really not that great. It's poorly placed, it's fiddly, it's a gimmick, but it could be a great spot for a fingerprint reader. And I'd also recommend putting a case on your phone like this one, because yeah, there have been many reports of these things already scratching really badly. Anyway, I digress. But the external hardware itself is new, and that's the first thing I really noticed when I pick it up. The orange color is kind of crazy, but this is also really big and really heavy, more so than the 16 Pro Max, and considerably more than the Galaxy S25 Ultra and the OnePlus 13. And the former has a stylus built into it and a bigger battery. And that means that this thing is a real chonker, particularly right up next to those cameras. Apple has crammed in a lot of electronics up there, making space for more battery in the main belly of the phone. And that's where things get a bit interesting. So all 17 Pro Maxes get larger cells this year, at least 200 mAh more than the 16 Pro Max. But the eSIM only models get a further 200 additional mAh on top of that, since the SIM card tray emission really means you can fill that space up with battery. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with an eSIM only mobile right now, but the one I have here does have the SIM card slot in it, and I found the battery to be absolutely world class. Just like last year, maybe better than last year actually, this is one of the very best battery performances you will get out of a mainstream smartphone here in the West. 4800 mAh ish does not sound like a big battery, and that's because it realistically isn't. But whatever Apple is doing with its chip in here and in software to optimize, it is outclassing Samsung and Apple by a considerable margin. This is a 2-day phone for me, every single time. I am a slightly lighter user, sure, but I'm not exaggerating, this really is a 2-day phone. Sure, it doesn't charge as fast as maybe some people would like. It does have MagSafe if you want to charge your phone that way, and it's a bit more of a seamless top-up experience, but Pixels also kind of have MagSafe now as well, so it's not unique to the iPhone anymore. And the sheer top-up speed isn't going to blow your socks off, though if you're like most people and you just charge your phone overnight on your nightstand, this is a non-issue anyway. But yeah, seriously, the 17 Pro Max is class leading in battery life. And performance, well, let's just say it's no slouch. Repeatedly in benchmarks, the iPhone just hangs with the fastest phones around, taking the win by some margin in some of my tests, and you do feel it, but it's not one of those massive upgrades year on year. I mean, the Pro iPhone has been one of the fastest phones on the market for many years now, maybe even a decade. This does not deviate from that norm. Right, there are two new cameras here, the square selfie camera and the much improved telephoto shooter. And I want to start with the latter because I do think it's great that Apple has finally caught up with Samsung and Google in putting a proper high-resolution sensor into its long lens, this being a 4x 48 megapixel setup. Apple couldn't have timed it worse, with Google blitzing the competition with its AI-backed 100 times beast. It feels like one step forward, 2 steps back in that regard. Sure, it is a considerable step up in quality compared to any long shooter that we've seen on iPhones before. I think for most people this is going to be a brilliant option, and they very much are going to use that 4 and 8 times crop. But I do think that maybe it could be a bit too little too late. And the new selfie shooter is brilliant for its versatility, though I'm not sure you'll really notice a quality difference between this and the old model. Still, I think this reorientable square camera is something that we will see introduced into other models, its competitors, since it just feels like a no-brainer, feels seamless, it makes a lot of sense. Though I must say that iPhone skin tones are still kind of unnatural to me. And that's not selfie shooter exclusive, by the way, though the quality of the other non-human scenes is very good, particularly from that 1/1.28 inch main sensor that we use the 1x for. This is the same camera that's been in the last couple of phones, and yeah, using Apple's handy 28 and 35mm crops that it calls the Fusion setup is pretty cool. And though I'm not the biggest fan of Apple's color science out of the box, it's objective, it's quite clinical, some might like it, I do not. Thankfully, using Apple's photographic styles, you can just adjust it either in camera when you're taking the photo or after the fact to dial in your desired look. And I am a fan of that. That is what I use on Samsung phones quite often, and so I like it here on the iPhone too. I am still of the opinion that 8K video boost is the best consumer orientated video in a smartphone. Apple's auto standard video looks great, and of course the ability to go to Ultra HD 120p is always glorious, I will never deny that. But I don't see many actual iPhone customers, the 95% of the consumer base, ever trying ProRes formats, let alone using them on a daily basis. For camera nerds like me, I absolutely adore ProRes Log and now ProRes RAW too. This is the best smartphone video and it's not even close, but it is very involved and I don't recommend consumers really do this because, well, grading your footage isn't exactly what people want to be doing, taking short clips of their kids. But for pros and enthusiasts, you will absolutely adore this, and yeah, this is quite something. And iOS 26, whilst it feels new and shiny and glamorous, does seem to be kind of change for change's sake. Moving things around, in my opinion, worsening the camera app, the minimalist layout that just feels really unintuitive to use, the AI features, for again, AI features' sake. I do like the aesthetic change, but I think under the hood, Apple has fallen quite badly behind Google and probably even Samsung at this point as well. iOS these days does not have that polish or that revered reputation that the iPhone was built on, and it feels like Apple is playing catch up in more ways than one. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is a massive phone. It's super fast, it has a brilliant display, no pun intended, a tremendous camera setup, class-leading battery life, a design that you'll either love or you'll hate, but the design, iOS 26, center stage camera, it all feels quite performative when the competition is smashing it with software prowess. But I have to say, this is a great phone this year, and if you're a camera nerd, even better. But I can't help but feel like this is Apple trying its absolute hardest to keep up with the Pixel on a technical level for the first time ever. Guys, I have to hear from you. What pieces of the iPhone 17 Pro Max would you want in your Android, or vice versa? Is there anything that tickled your fancy here, or are you just not interested whatsoever? Let's have a discussion in the comments. No need for fanboyism here. Remember, no company is your friend. Anyway, whilst you're down there, be sure to hit like if you enjoyed today's video and subscribe to never miss another upload. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I will catch you later. Cheers.